copper 2 sulfate. 21 is nickel 3 bromide. 23 is zinc sulfate. And 25 is potassium permanganate.
Do you just like completely ignore the O for all of these?
The who?
The O?
Yeah, because it's part of the polyatomic ion.
Like, it's not oxygen?
It is, but it's in the polyatomic ion. So we don't name it separately.
I always got an incomplete 0.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Possibly. It depends. So like in question number, find one. Like in number 13, CaC2O4. Yes, because that one had a +2 and a -2. So the two 2's reduced. So yes, that reduced. And that had a polyatomic ion in it. One that reduced that had a Roman number would have been PbSO3. Lead was a +2. Sulfite was, oops, that was a sulfite, not a sulfate. Let me change that. That was SO3. All right. So those went away. So when you wrote the name, we were supposed to write lead, Roman number 2, and then sulfite. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can you go over number 7?
7. All right. Zn is zinc. And then PO4 is in parentheses, so that should slap you and say I'm a polyatomic ion. So PO4 is on the polyatomic ion side, and so is phosphate. And then when you look up zinc on the back side, how many numbers does zinc have?
1.
So does it get a Roman number? No. So zinc phosphate.
Oh, because when you went over it, you said phosphite.
Oh, no, phosphate. Sorry. Yes, ma'am.
17.
17, I will tell you, I will not ask you about 17. I won't give you mercury 1 or mercury 2 because it's difficult with the way the oxidation numbers work. So don't worry about that one.
Only one I got right.
Yes, ma'am. I typically stay away from mercury because a lot of times the oxidation numbers like that don't cancel out. So I don't use that one in a first year class. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, never.
17 is the one you were going to ask me about.
I was going to ask you about 19, but that's what I did.
19 is another one like this one, okay? And that's largely what we're going to work on today when we get here is oxidation numbers that cancel out, okay? So CuSO4, when you go to write the name, you have copper, okay? And you know that everything after the copper is a polyatomic ion, which goes back to Annabelle's question, all right? You don't name sulfur and oxygen separately. Everything after that first element you look up as a polyatomic ion together and find its name. So you're looking up on that polyatomic ion side for SO4 together. What's its name? Okay, so SO4's name is sulfate. Now, when you look up copper on the oxidation sheet, does it need a Roman number?
Yeah.
Yes, okay? So you're going to put in a Roman number. The question is, what Roman number? All right, well, when you... I don't even know how to erase without getting a giant eraser. All right, you look, and it's got a -2. Okay, well, is there a 2 in the formula? There's not. Well, there's supposed to be a 2 here. Well, where'd that 2 go? Well, the only thing that could have happened to it is it got canceled out. Well, if that 2 went away, that means what went away here? A 2. So there was a 2 there, and they both got reduced. So that means there was a 2 there. So copper was Roman number 2.
I
Okay.
think help you call. Press the box beside the marker up there, because I think that's the eraser, and then you should have options.
Where?
Go up there. The marker. No. Go up there. No.
Left or right?
Oh, up there.
Just come touch it.
Isn't that the eraser? Oh. Thought that was the eraser. Try that.
We like the little button.
That's a stamp, a camera. It's like that is. Okay, I thought I was the only one.
See, I thought that looks like an eraser. But
It's not, it's a highlighter.
Yeah.
it's dumb.
I agree, it's dumb.
Maybe nah, you yourself.
I'll just restart the computer and I'll fix my eraser. Alright, anything else on that side? Alright, on the back. The odd numbers. Number 1, NH4 in parentheses with a 3, and then PO4.
With the 3 where?
NH4, put parentheses around it.
Okay.
3 on the outside.
The other one didn't have no parentheses. Maybe I just put this up. Oh, come on.
Parentheses around the PO4 optional.
You want one?
Okay? Yes. All right, number 3, Fe2O3. Number 5, CaCl2. Number 7. Huh? Are y'all kidding me?
It was fast.
Fe2O3. 5, CaCl2. Number 7, Mg, parentheses, OH, parentheses, 2. 9, Cu, parentheses, SO4, close the parentheses. Parentheses are optional. You could have left them off. The 2 2's reduced, by the way. Number 11, we haven't done. Don't worry about it. We're going to learn it today. 13, NaHCO3. You could have had parentheses in there and it would have been fine, but they're optional. And 15, Al2, parentheses, SO3, close the parentheses, 3. Questions? Yes, ma'am. Number 3, it says iron, 3. So Fe has a 3. Oxide has a 2. Bring your 2 down and your 3 down. So you get Fe2O3. Okay? Who else? Like I said, don't worry about 11. That's old system. We're going to learn it today. Yes, ma'am.
What was the answer to if you got it right?
It would have been P2O5.
Bro, I got it right.
Fabulous.
Okay. Number 7.
Number
I
7,
need to look over myself.
magnesium has a 2. Hydroxide is OH, has a 1. Parentheses around the polyatomic ion.
Right.
So bring your 2 down and your 1 down. You get Mg, OH, and a 2. Like that. Okay? Anybody else? No? All right. You need a writing utensil. Writing utensil.
You don't think I'm looking?
No.
Oh, the most one is the one that the ACL, ain't no way I'm gonna.
Here. I have no idea how I have my hand. I got one of those. That's all you get. Tried to write on them. These people have drawn lines and groove all over them. There's more here if you need them, Cecilia. Good tree, you take it?
You said I'm all in that. Bro. That is just sad.
Make sure you write legibly. I have to be able to read clearly. If I cannot tell if it says IDE or INE or I can't read the number, it's what? It's wrong. I'm not going to guess. So make sure it's clear for me.
Do
You know what?
we have to write the I on after stuff?
Did we do that yesterday?
I don't think so.
Then I wouldn't start it today.
You're still working. Okay. How many of you are working now? 3. How about now? Yes, no, where we at now? Anybody still working now? All right. Pass your quiz papers to the front.
And
We'll do that separately. I'm not sorting all that crap out. That'd be fabulous. You will. People in the front, hold on. Let me have the quiz papers first. Then you can hand up your charts, and Karen's going to come behind you and fetch the charts. That way the people in the front don't have to sort either. All right, now pass your charts up. All right, now send your charts up.
that's only when I studied. I don't know why. Yeah, I said it like 2 of them. That was the only one I could remember. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
All right, find your notes. Oh, crap. You don't even tell me to do this. I told you I'd forget.
Bro, I just watched the class a lot later. I'm sorry. Excuse me. How much notes are you writing?
Not much.
Okay.
Most of them will be practice.
I don't feel right. What? Did I feel it? Well,
I don't know. Probably not.
what? Is it still covalent compound stuff?
All right, while I'm thinking about it, Miss Cross wants to meet with all winter sports athletes. So while I'm thinking about
Tomorrow at right after school, it's gonna be about 5 minutes.
it, yep,
15.
since we have no intercom system. That's one announcement I'm supposed to make. There's another one I'm looking for. Do I have any seniors? Are there any seniors in here?
No.
I don't have to make that one then.
We want to be seen.
Yeah.
Okay, we all aren't, so I don't have to make that one.
We're gonna have a really empty class some days. When are we taking this?
Starts the 20th.
Tomorrow we go to Miss Cross.
Since you brought that up, the ACT takes place in stages and by alphabet. Generally, it takes about 3 days to rotate through the whole class. And since we're about half, how many sophomores do I have again? Hold your hands up high. Okay? It won't affect y'all at all. Okay? So the rest of you are juniors, and it'll be done in alphabet. So we're talking about a third of the half. Okay? So we're looking at about 4 or 5 of you for 3 days in a row. So will class stop for the 4 or 5 of you for the 3 days in a row that we'll do the ACT?
No, because it's. Wait, what are the
No.
cutoffs? What are the cutoffs? Because
I have no idea. I haven't seen the list.
C.
You'll be on the first day. Okay. Calicut will obviously be at the first. Riviera will be at the end. All right. Jackson will be on the second day if she's if she was a junior. All right. But Hugh, I don't know. Hugh might be on the last day. It might be in the second day. I don't know the alphabet for the juniors well enough to know where Q is going to be on the cutoff. Or M. I would think M might be in the second day, but I don't know the alphabet and how many we have well enough to know. My point in this is, for those of you who have to take the ACT, you're not going to be sucked out well enough for us to stop class. Secondly, I'm not stopping class for 3 days. So those of you who are out, the day that you are out, you will need to do what?
The opening. Watch the video.
Watch the video. You're going to need to get the opening. You're going to have to watch the video. You're going to have to catch up.
Try not to
All right.
do it too hard.
You know where I am if it's a day that it's too hard and you need help. Okay? I can't fix it for you. Okay?
I wish we had an all junior class.
Right.
Even if you had an all junior class, you would still only have a third out. Which means the 2/3 that was here would still do what? Work and move on. Okay? So you would still not get a free day.
What if all of the juniors in here were the first name of?
It wouldn't matter. We did it last year. I had almost all juniors. 2/3 of us moved on, and a third of us had to watch the video.
Okay.
Okay? So, moving on. Covalent compounds. We started this a little bit yesterday. We said yesterday when we were talking,
All non-metals.
they had to be all nonmetals, and covalent compounds would use both systems of names. Ionic compounds that you just took on the quiz could only use what?
What?
The stock system, the Roman numbers. Now, we're going to start with stock because you already know how to do it, and then we'll go into old system. Now, because we're talking about covalent compounds, we're going to hit some highlights on some things that we were talking about in the homework just to make sure we're all okay on this. A lot of times I assume, and I should never do that. So if we talk about, for example, CO2, and I want you to name it in stock system. All right. If I want stock system like you guys just did on the quiz, how would we name it in stock system? You cannot say carbon dioxide. What is the name? What did you do first on the quiz?
Carbon, oxycarbon.
All right, everybody said carbon. Everybody would have said oxide because we'd have said it is binary. So we'd have added the IDE ending. Nobody forgot that, right? I'm not going to go down the quiz and be like, dang, they forgot IDE and it's a binary compound, right?
You definitely did.
Okay. Now, the second thing we would check is, do we need a Roman number? Or for Annabelle, since she seems to be all kinds of upset that I wrote number and not numeral. All right, do we need a Roman numeral?
Yes.
Okay, if you look up carbon, it has multiple numbers. So the answer is yes, we're going to need a Roman numeral. Now, this is the thing about covalent compounds. Roughly half or more have been reduced. Okay? So you have to check to see if reduced. Now, you should also do this with ionic compounds, but because I hadn't taught this yet, I was pretty kind with ionic compounds, and I hadn't done that until last night's homework. But now that I'm teaching this, you need to also check your ionic compounds because now I won't be as kind on the ionic compounds. Okay? So, how do you check to see if it's reduced? All right? You check. All right? You check the second element's oxidation number. All right? So, what is the second element in this compound? Oxygen. So, what is its oxidation number?
1.
It's -2. Okay? So, if oxygen is a -2, that -2 should be right there. Is that -2 right there?
Nope.
So, what happened to it?
Reduced.
It reduced. Okay? Because if we take that 2 and we multiply, and that's what we do, we literally take that 2 and we multiply it through the formula. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Our formula was originally C2O4. What number came from carbon? This 4 came from the carbon. So we have to use the original oxidation number. So the original oxidation number from carbon is Roman number 4. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So it's carbon 4 oxide.
Huh?
And that's not the way we've been doing it normally.
That's the way you've been writing their names. Except this one's been reduced. Okay? Now, to illustrate that with what you've been doing. Okay? Just to illustrate it with what you've been doing, I'm going to put in an ionic one. All right? Suppose on our common formative assessment that I have to give this week. I made one, by the way.
Is it going on thing? I don't know.
Okay. Suppose I ask you to.
Pause. Time out.
Yes.
More on that because is it going on our approach? Is it going on our approach?
Haven't decided. No.
So, that's your
I'm not
answer.
going to count it.
Wait, when is it? Yeah.
When?
I don't know. I got to look at the calendar. I thought it said 2nd and 4th was first. 1st and 3rd was next.
Okay, well, since it's not counting, just do it Friday since we have a short class.
I thought it was Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, it's not.
Aren't they CFAs Wednesday and Thursday?
Yep.
See, Wednesday and Thursday. Which one's Wednesday?
Other than the
What periods?
I want to say it's the first and third. All of them. You're doing what you want to this week.
Oh, it doesn't matter what periods I
I
do?
don't think so, because I know Miss Baldwin said she's doing hers Thursday.
Oh, it doesn't matter when I do it. So y'all just be quiet. I'll just do what I want. All right, so when we write the name, so this is an ionic one. Okay? So, how do you write the name? Okay, so iron. O is oxide. Does it need a Roman number? Are we in agreement that it does? Okay. Iron has more than one oxidation number, so yes, it needs a Roman number. Now, what Roman number does it need? 2. All right. If you look up oxygen, oxygen has a -2. But is it in the formula?
No.
What happened to it? Cancel out. This 2 should be here, but it's not there. So where'd it go?
Wherever it wanted to.
Did not go wherever it wanted, Annabelle. It canceled. So again, to find the original, take this 2 and multiply it through the formula. So Fe used to be a 2 and O had a 2. So what number came from the Fe? Remember, I multiplied this by the original subscripts. So this was a 1 and a 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So what number came from Fe? That's how I got my oxidation number. Because the blue sheet gives you suggested oxidation numbers. It's not the Holy Grail. You might even have a compound that has a number. It's not on the blue sheet.
That's scary. I didn't do that. I do this in water. This is gonna be
Yes.
hard.
All right. So what if you have SO3? Yes.
Previous one, where did you get the -2?
Because that's oxygen's oxidation number. If you look it up on the blue sheet, O is a -2.
Oh, that was like a second.
The second element. You're always checking the second element. Yep. All right. So SO3. What is sulfur? You just write sulfur, right? And what do we know about O? It's oxide. So sulfur, oxide. Okay, what is oxygen's oxidation number? -2. Is the -2 right there where I put this blue dot? So what happened to it? So, what was the original formula? So what came from the S?
Okay.
Okay, can you go over that again? So, can you not just, so we find the oxidation number of the second element and then multiply it by the.
You need to find out if this oxidation number is right here. If that oxidation number is not right there, it was reduced. So you need the original formula. Well, if it's not right there, it was reduced by that number. So if you multiply that number through the formula, you get the original formula. Okay? So what if I have N2O5? All right. Was that reduced? No. All right. This formula has the 2 there. Okay. That 2 is in the formula. This one was not reduced. Okay. So do I need to go backwards to figure out what the formula used to be? No. Okay. There's no need for that. So I write nitrogen. All right. What's O? Oxide. And what is its Roman number? What came from N? The 5. I don't have to figure out what it used to be because it never reduced because the 2 is still part of the formula. Do you see the difference? Okay? If I don't have oxygen, suppose I have PCl3. All right. What's chlorine's oxidation number? Okay, -1. It's -1. Somebody yelled that out and they are right. So what number is right there? A 1. So if it started as a 1 and it's still a 1, was it reduced? No. So this one was not reduced. So do I have to do any of that squirrely figuring, backtracking, and multiplying? No. So I write phosphorus, chloride, and what Roman number is phosphorus going to get? 3. Have you figured out anything about covalent compounds or Roman numbers yet? Has anyone not had one? Has anybody not had a Roman number yet?
No.
No? What do they all have? All covalent compounds have Roman numbers.
Great question.
Yeah.
So, when you're trying to find, like, you need to look at your blue sheet to find the oxidation number of the second, right?
Uh-huh.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, because you don't know it at the moment.
Right.
Yeah. Suppose we have, suppose you have this.
It reduced.
It did reduce because carbon has what? Sorry, sulfur has what? Had a -2. And is it right there? No. So this one was reduced. So you need the original formula. So what's the original formula? Okay, so what's his name? Yes. Are you with me? Okay. Now's where we're going to run off the rails. Some of us are going to crash badly into bushes. Some of us are going off the cliff and going to crash and burn. Okay? All right. Some of us are not going to get lost at all. All right. I cannot say this enough. The stock system uses oxidation numbers and crisscrossing. Okay, that's what we've been doing for 3 days. That's what we have in our heads. Okay, now, old system is going to take this and throw it out the window.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, old system is prefixes. Prefixes equal subscripts. Okay, there is no crisscrossing. Okay, there are no oxidation numbers. That's what makes it different. Okay? Old system has no oxidation numbers and no crisscrossing. And it's hard for a lot of people to switch back and forth between the two systems.
Is it hard for you?
No, because I've done it a long time ago. When I was in school, it's a long time ago. I don't remember. It would have been 1985-ish. A long time. Okay.
No, I'm an idiot.
A long time. All right, does everybody have it? All right. So, we're going to write formulas first. No, we're going to do names. What are we just doing? We're writing names. Let's do that first so we stay consistent. All right. So, number one, you're going to write the name of the first element. Now, you will add a prefix only if more than one atom. Okay? So, we might add a prefix on the first element. We have conditions as to whether we add a prefix to that first element. We have to have more than one, meaning two or more. If we do not have two or more, are we going to add a prefix to the first element's name?
No.
No. Now, step 2. Name second element. Add an IDE ending, because all of these will be binary. Okay? And you must add a prefix. Okay? It does not matter how many atoms you have. It's irrelevant. In the second name, you add a prefix. Even if there's only one, it gets a prefix. Okay? Now, did I say anything about looking at an oxidation number?
No.
No. Doesn't matter what their oxidation numbers are. We're not going to look up oxidation numbers. All we need to know is how many atoms there are.
So this is more about atoms.
Correct. All right, has everybody got the steps?
No.
Because we need to talk about the prefixes.
Okay.
Everybody there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so.
What are the examples?
Yeah, these are the prefixes.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to say that you all know them, but
No.
It'd be a while.
Right.
Okay.
and you only have to tomorrow to learn them, by the way.
What?
What?
Is it? Oh, they're the on Friday. Kind of.
There was no free.
Oh, yeah.
And before you all freak out, you probably have to learn 3. All right, most of you probably know them either from math class or from Spanish class. All right, the only one you might not know is tetra.
I don't know.
Right.
Wait, why is Tetra?
Now, learning the prefixes should not be a great challenge for any of us. So, you should not have any struggles to be able to learn these prefixes for tomorrow's quiz.
Oh, tomorrow. Why do we have quizzes every day in this
I
class?
think it's English. Can't swear to that, but
No, because
now it's probably, the prefixes probably have some roots in Spanish. But I can't swear to that.
Why do we have quizzes every day in this class?
Because I can.
Oh.
What's that word on?
This, writing, naming and writing formulas for covalent compounds.
But a fail.
To someone who cares.
When you're.
I promise it's not me.
Yeah.
Stay for Julie.
Are we gonna have homework
today? That's tough. I can't help you there.
Alright, does everybody have that prefix?
No, wait, no. Not you?
No, no.
No, that's what some people call her grandma.
I call my grandma. I call my grandma's grandma.
Mama. Mama was in the other birthday night.
Can't relate to having
Alright, we're there? Alright, so,
Thank you so very much.
Like not very.
I don't know.
You're not just like me.
alright. I picked the 4 that we did earlier and I added one extra. So, if we write these names, since we did the first 4 earlier and I added one extra. Again, we don't care what their oxidation numbers are.
Right.
We only care about their subscripts, right?
Right.
So, how many C's are there?
2.
Yeah, people want out of the top.
Huh?
How many C's are there?
Oh, 1.
There's 1. Okay? So, we write the name as carbon. It only gets a prefix if there's more than 1. How many are there? Just 1. So, if there's only 1, does it get a prefix? No. The O, being the second element, gets an IDE ending, and it always gets a prefix regardless of how many there are. Okay? So O is oxide. So we've already added the ending of oxide. And how many O's are there? So we put dioxide.
Easy.
Okay? We did not care what the oxidation numbers are. We simply look at the subscripts. We don't backwards crisscross. It's all about what number is on it. So when we do SO3, how many sulfurs are there? 1. Does it get a prefix? No. We just write sulfur. The only place you would use mono is on what element? The first or the second one? The second one. All right, so the second element is, again, oxygen. So oxide and tri. Now, it's okay to put 2 vowels together, like the I and the O. The only 2 we don't generally put together are putting 2 O's side by side. We generally drop, like if you were putting mono and oxide together, we drop one of the O's. Okay? So, P is what? P is phosphorus. All right. Cl is chloride. And there's 3, so we do what? Trichloride. All right, so the last 2, we have some numbers on the first element. So we need to put a prefix on the first element. So how many N's?
Binitride.
All right, so we put what on it?
Bi.
Not bi, di. Okay, that's why we did the prefixes. It's di. Fix that in your notes. Okay, di, nitrogen.
What? It doesn't even fit.
Why is it not dinitride?
Because it's not at the end.
It's not the second thing.
That's right. The second thingamajig only gets the IDE. Remember, we were working on that vocabulary thing.
Okay, second
The second element.
element.
Okay? So, O, being the second element, gets the IDE ending. Now, what? Penta. And then oxide. So dinitrogen pentaoxide.
Is this what we're doing?
What?
The quiz?
Yes.
Like just like that.
You have 4 that you have to write in stock.
That's that.
Yes. No, this is old. You have 4 that you have to do this way. You have 3 that you have to do this way. And you have 3 that you have to write formulas for that we haven't done yet. All right. P4O10. What's 4? So we're going to put tetra on the front. Tetraphosphorus. Okay. And then what is 10? Deca oxide. Okay. This is not hard. The hard part is when you go back to do the other one and then you're like, do I have to know the oxidation number, or when you blend them? And you try to go back and forth. All right. Now, the final thing.
Thank you. No. That's crazy.
All right. Writing formulas from old system.
Oh, no.
Nope.
We're about to turn a gas fire.
That won't do any good. Now, if you have carbon tetrabromide, first of all, can you recognize that that's an old system?
Yes.
Okay. Because it says tetra. So,
I wish we would have done old first, so we could be like, oh yeah, that's that old stuff we already did. Now we're doing old second.
okay. Everybody with us on that's old system? All right. So this tells us there's no oxidation numbers and no crisscrossing. Okay. Everybody with me on that? All right. The prefix equals the subscript. It's that simple. Whatever the prefix is, it's the subscript. So, what is our first element? What prefix does it have?
None.
So that means it's a 1.
Do we have to write that?
Nope, I'm just doing it for instructional purposes at the moment. Bromide, Br, has what prefix? Tetra is a what? Now, the most commonly made mistake on the quiz is exactly what, and I think it was Karen's voice I heard. She said what? 3. That is the most commonly made error on the quiz. Okay? It is year after year after year. For some odd reason, people think tetra is a 3. Okay? I don't know why. But out of a class of 20, which I typically have, 5 people tell me it's a 3. Out of a class of 30 tomorrow, I'm anticipating probably 7 or 8 of you will tell me it's a 3. See if we can't cut that number down a little bit. Okay? So, I would write it as CBR4. All right? But that's how you do it. The prefixes tell you the subscript. It says there's no prefix, there's no subscript. Tetra means BR has a 4. It's that simple. That's why people like old system. Because you can't use old system in ionic compounds. So as soon as this is what happens, okay? This is what happens. So we go back and we write CaBr2. Okay? We go back to CaBr2. And this is what happens. People look at this and they go, calcium,
Bromide.
dibromide.
What?
Tell me what's wrong with that.
Oh, I know the
The triple is the calcium.
Why can't we do it? That's wrong. Wrong every day of the week. Tell me what's wrong with it.
Oxidation numbers.
Two block the calcium.
We do, but why?
Because we're special. I don't know.
Who got to go into the bromide integration? Which I do.
What's the one gonna be English?
So.
Somebody did say we have to, but.
Chemistry is special, that's why.
Because it's in the binary, so.
It is binary.
So then it should be with the calcium, the two. So it should, never mind, I don't know.
It is a covalent.
I was really gonna try to do first.
All right. Raquel's on the right track. She said it's not covalent.
Okay.
This is a what?
Element.
It is an element. It's a special element.
It's a metal.
It's a metal,
She's not.
Yeah, covalent is non-metal.
which means it's an ionic compound.
Oh my.
Can ionic compounds be named with prefixes? Ionic compounds can't use prefixes
Why can't they?
because ionic compounds aren't named in old system.
Why?
Take it up with somebody else. Okay? Now, we can name them with old system, but metal old system requires the Latin names. All right, so if we wanted to name, and I don't know calcium's Latin name, but I can name, for example, this one. All right, we have to use its Latin name, and we have to use ferrum. All right, so we'd have to use either ferrous or ferric. You'd have to know the endings, and you'd have to know whether it has the larger or the smaller oxidation number. That's a lot harder, which is why we don't teach it in first year chemistry. Now, some will still require it in an AP course. We don't teach it in the first year course to do old system ionic naming, okay? But we cannot use prefixes in ionic. That's the system of nomenclature. It's the way it was designed, okay? So, when you use prefixes, prefixes can only be used with what types of compounds? Covalent. So you have to make sure they're only non-metals. Are you with me on that? They'll all be mixed up. So tomorrow when we start, it's going to say mixed naming, or it's going to have a naming sheet. They're all going to be mixed up. So you're going to have to check to see if they're ionic or if they're covalent before you name them in old system. So, of course, you get a periodic table on everything. I'm not going to expect you to name anything without a periodic table or the ability to look it up and see whether it has a metal or a non-metal. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, she's just gonna.
All right, let's practice. See what we can do. Let's just see here.
You don't find it, I think it's
All right, we'll start easy first. All right, write the formulas very quickly. We'll start easy first.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole.
Old system? All right, I want you to look very quickly and tell me if that's all old system.
Yeah.
Which one's not old system? How do you know it's not old system? There you go. All right, so that's simple. When you look up there and you see that Roman number, you know it's automatically what? It's automatically stock system. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
You don't have to do it? No? Okay, go do it.
Me too.
I'm an equal opportunity low grade giver. Several years ago, my superlative in the yearbook was most likely to give you an F with a smile.
No, that's, we need to have that one.
I might have to buy it.
When was that?
I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago.
No wonder, because Miss Carter's only been here for what, 3 years, and she was like, we've never done teachers superlatives.
Yes. Most likely to give you an F with a smile. Still don't mind doing it. Don't practice.
Do you remember second student?
Yes, vividly.
My mommy and my dad.
Hi, mommy.
I need to retire.
Well, I think you're a good teacher.
Thanks.
Right, love you too.
You're a legend, a walking legend. I'm talking to teacher of the year, 2015.
Shut up, New York.
There's more over there. Right, now where's
I
the
can see how they take
Right.
attention.
lovely, lovely time.
Because I thought the same thing right now.
I know, that's why I said it's the most commonly made mistake on quiz.
never failed the quiz.
Nobody did, do your work. Alright, we got them done? Besides man bill not starting, how about the rest of y'all?
I started.
Hallelujah.
She
did one good.
Doing good. Doing good in all my classes, except for pre-cal. We're trying to talk about it.
Right. Alright, not doing well in pre-cal.
Because math is hard and I failed the test.
I'll be like that.
Joyce, did you hear when Jordan was talking about her grade? And she was like,
98 out of 96. I'm pissed. I was like,
I'm 47. No, 41. 41 was up to 47.
can't relate.
He'll go back to Dr.
Alright, so the first one. What's carbon tetraiodide? CI4. What is phosphorus trichloride?
PCl3.
What is sulfur dioxide?
SO2.
SO2. What is dinitrogen trioxide?
N2O3.
N2O3. And phosphorus 5-oxide.
P2O5.
P2O5. Everybody okay with those three? Alright.
What was the last one?
P2O5. Alright. We're gonna do 1, 2, and 3
Got 10 minutes.
on this, because I want to go over it. Alright? No, let's not do 1. We already did that one. Let's do 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4. Now, you're gonna write the names in both systems. Okay? Now, you might want to do all 3 questions in one system, and then go back and do all 3 questions in the other system. Instead of doing, I do 2, 3, 4.
The first three?
No, do 2, 3, and 4. We already did number 1 together.
Sorry. Did you say what?
So 2, 3, and 4. If you think you know old system better, do it first, and then go back and do stock.
That's what I I like the old system.
Most people do.
But she said it's a grade 4.
We're getting to practice work together.
Yep. All right, can we go over some of what you got, or are you still working? Okay, we got a little time.
I don't know what it is.
Really? It's very nice of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I said.
For the senior.
Yeah, I think you talked like most of Yeah.
All right, so in number 2, all right, old system. Carbon, tetra, fluoride. All right, nitrogen, dioxide, silicon, trifluoride. Okay, now to do stock, we need oxidation numbers. We need to know if they've been reduced. Was number 2 reduced? No. It had a 1. What's right there? A 1. It was not reduced. So carbon, Roman number 4, fluoride. Okay. Had a 2. Is there a 2 right there? It was reduced. So it used to be N2O4. So nitrogen, Roman number 4, oxide. Add a -1. It's a 1 right there. Was it reduced? No. Silicon, Roman number 3, chloride. All right, let's talk homework. I'll tell you what numbers we're going to do when I hand it out. Where are your glasses? Why did you been wearing? Oh, okay, cool. So are you enjoying the contest?
I never like, I can only wear them before.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Say
what? I know, that's not the Holy Grail. It's just the most common. Alright, we're doing questions 2 to 12.
2 to 12?
2 to 12, you're writing them in both systems. Okay, in stock and old. Okay? Stock and old system. Yeah, 2 to 12. Okay, 2 to 12.
And time to go.